we'll do all the bloopers
I'll
too.
hit the button for you. I guess I could hang. Let me hang, and then we'll get the ID. You ready to go?
Oh, yeah, are you ready to go?
Am I close enough?
I think so.
Yeah.
You think you have a big red dot on yours.
I saw that, but you know,
It's,
All right.
It'll go away.
it's on my good side, so it's
It'll go away.
Here we go.
We're here at Jazz Live San Diego with Missy Andersen. Missy, welcome to Jazz Live San Diego.
Well, thank you for having me.
So it's great to have you on. I guess we'll talk about the cusp of your 36 Blues Award nomination in the Soul Blues Female Artist category. Congratulations
Well,
on
thank
that.
you very much. That's exciting.
That was announced in December and is going to be announced in May. The winners are going to be announced in May in Memphis.
Yes.
And you are alongside some great artists: Sharon Jones of the Dap Kings, Candy Staten, Sista Monica, Venice Thomas. How did you find out about your nomination?
Well, I woke up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water. I guess it wasn't really the middle of the night. It was early morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning. And because it's 2000, well, it was 2014 then, I always pick up my phone when I get back in bed. And so I'm looking through my little stuff, and I saw a message from the Blues Foundation. I'm a Blues Foundation member, and so I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, something's going on. So I'm going through it. It says that they're going to announce the nominees. I'm like, oh, I wonder who those are. And so I'm scrolling through this message, and at the very end, it says, once again, congratulations on your, 2015 BMA nomination. And then I gasp, and then Heina wakes up, he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I think something happened. Let's scroll all the way to the top, and there it was.
Well, that is fantastic. And so, do you personally know any of your fellow nominees in this category?
I've met Sista Monica, but she passed, during the year. And so that would have been fun to see her again. I know Venice Thomas, because we just did a showcase together in Memphis. Never met Sharon Jones or Candy Staten, but of course I know them both.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's excellent. So you were also nominated before that to represent San Diego in the International Blues Challenge, which is there in Memphis also, but you can't compete in that now because of your nomination. So tell us a little bit about the difference you feel being nominated for that International Blues Challenge, which was a nomination here in San Diego of kind of your peers here.
So here in San Diego, so each Blues Society has a contest and a competition for someone to go to Memphis to compete in the international competition. And we've done it a couple of years ago, Heina and I, and then we tried it again this year and actually won. And we were really excited about that. But then, of course, I got the Blues Music Award nomination, and that's automatic disqualification, which is okay because that's a good problem to have, Blues Music Award nomination. But I went to Memphis anyway for the IBC. We did 2 showcases, and then instead of participating in the IBC, I was a judge. So that was like head of the class, I think.
Excellent. Well, I think all of this talks to kind of where you are right now and how things are going right now. So let's talk about your new album, In the Moment.
Okay.
So this is a new disc which has 8 originals out of the 11, and that kind of represents a little bit of a change from your previous disc, which was released in 2009, self-titled Missy Andersen. So does this represent something where you're really trying to push the composition thing?
Yes, we would have done that on the first go if we had the time. We were upside down on the first album. I didn't even have business cards, and someone booked me a tour in Europe. And so when I got there, then that one booked another one 6 months later, and so we decided that we had to record, but we had no original material. Obviously, you can't be doing a lot of gigs and write at the same time. So we just did it on the fly, not really on the fly, but some of the things that we really liked. We only had 2 originals. So we wrote 1 song and co-wrote a second of those 8 that were on that CD.
So in that time frame, in the 2009 time frame, so you needed to have something out there. So when you were playing on these
Yes.
tours, that you actually
Had
could
some
sell,
music
and you
that
could
was like
that
yours,
people,
yeah.
you could leave with people.
Yeah, I wanted to look grown up, you know.
And that's part of that whole music business. So then, tell us a little bit about In the Moment. How does that then represent kind of where you are now?
Well, In the Moment is more me, a little blues, a little soul, and some church on it. That's everything that comes out of my mouth is like that. It has a little blues on it, has a little soul, has a little church. And so it's like, you know, get Baskin Robbins triple scoop ice cream. You put it all in the same cup because you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we do.
And you were nominated for this award, the Blues Foundation Award, in the Soul Blues category. Tell us a little bit about how your brand of blues differs from the contemporary side or the traditional side, where there are other awards.
Yeah, well, when I'm surprised I'm in the soul blues. I mean, I think that's where I fit. But the album actually places in the contemporary blues on like the Roots Music Report, which is interesting. But I think I'm kind of soul blues, and so yeah, I'll take it. There's no contemporary. Oh, there is a contemporary section. But anyway, I'm in soul blues. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I would say I really identify with either one. I mean, we're contemporary, and it's got some soul on the blues. So there you go.
So in that same vein then, there was a review of In the Moment by Bill Wilson in Reflection in Blue, where he talks about you and your band delivering the goods in much the same way as Gladys Knight or Aretha Franklin. So talking about some soul and blues there. So how would you characterize your own music in similarity to their music, Gladys Knight or Aretha Franklin?
Well, certainly no Gladys Knight or Aretha Franklin.
Yet.
But I would say that what is the same about us is that we embrace the sound that comes out of our mouth. And so that makes you authentic, I think, is that you just go ahead and let what comes out, you know, how you feel it, come out. And I think you can't help but have your own sound because everyone's unique, you know. And so as long as you're comfortable letting that happen, you know, then you already have hit the first place. You embrace your sound, you're authentic.
And another thing that was mentioned in some of the reviews of In the Moment in Australia, Peter Merritt mentioned from PBS Australia, the band and arrangements are faultless and perfectly balanced to deliver a stunning album. So how important is it really for you, and you collaborate very closely with your husband, Heine,
Yes.
to kind of work on those arrangements and make the sound good, as opposed to maybe something you might think of as like blues, dirty blues, down and
Yeah.
dirty. Do you guys really work that?
We do. We're intense when it comes to music. I mean, we're intense when I think we have a reputation for really liking to practice, and our songs are generally really arranged. But that's kind of our style, and I guess we'll just stick to that.
And how does that work for you? Does that allow you to get in? I haven't seen the composition of the band tonight, but does that allow you to work in all of the instrumentation?
Yes, it does
use
that as
into
well,
that?
but then it makes it more interesting, and it's also like guitar playing or like a voice. There should be dynamics, you know, and so we like it to have some ups and some downs and some twists and turns. You know, we just think it's interesting to listen to, but it's also interesting for us to perform and, you know, play. So.
Well, then let's talk a little bit about your upbringing and how music came into your life. Let's kind of start there.
Okay.
How you grew up in back east, right, in Detroit.
I was born in Detroit and grew up in New York. Mm-hmm.
So how did music come into your life?
It came, I think, probably you always sing nursery rhymes, but I do remember specifically when I was like 5 or 6, my mother had entered me into some talent competition, and every day after school she would sit down with me and we would rehearse this song. And that was like my favorite thing to do. And suddenly she stopped, and I don't know why she did. Well, not until I was later on. It's because the contest was canceled. But I was hooked from that moment on. It just did something for me, and just singing words did something. It was lyrics. So I had my two favorite passions, reading and singing, music. And you put those together and you get lyrics, and it's wonderful.
And then how did you become a professional musician? Someone who then is doing that and knows you love it, but then is now making a living. Bands doing blues first, or were you in doing other kind of things?
I had many different periods. I had a jazz period. I had an R&B period. But when I was growing up, I did front some bands, but I was really, really timid. And so it was hard for me. But in order to get my music on, I would do backup vocals for other artists. And so I did a lot of studio work and a lot of on-stage work behind other artists. And so that was kind of my outlet, but I was just too timid to actually stand in the front row and do it. And so until I met Heine, and he convinced me that I could.
Well, then let's get into that part of your life.
Okay.
And that is here in San Diego,
Yes.
as part of the San Diego scene. So you moved here. When did you move to San Diego?
I moved here in like 1992, something like that.
And then were you, did you become part of the scene? Were you looking for places to play or people to play with?
No.
No, not at all?
I
What were
was
you doing
timid.
then?
I was a banker.
Well,
A banker.
and so then, how did you begin playing here in San Diego or singing here in San Diego?
Well, for a while I had a karaoke period, and so I would do that a little bit. That led me to meet some musicians around town. I'd do some backup vocals for them. But then Earl Thomas was looking for some singers for a special show he wanted to do, and one of my karaoke buds auditioned for him. In the air, by the way, because she was a flight attendant, and that's where she met him. And he said, well, do you have some friends? And then she called me, and that was it. And so we started playing with Earl. We did that one show, and then we started doing his blues stuff. And then he put us together with the band he was touring with in Denmark, some Danish guys. Heine was one. And then we did this big tour. So it was wonderful.
So you actually met your husband, who's Danish, in Denmark first, and then did he come to San Diego?
Well, I met him
to
here,
Oh.
and then we went to Denmark later on.
And then did you guys, were you together in Denmark or were you together here?
We were not together here because we both have bad social skills. I'm better now. He's not so much. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But we had bad social skills. I was still timid, and so we didn't talk until we actually got to Denmark. But once we got going, then we got married 7 months later, I think. Yeah.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was quick.
So then the San Diego blues scene, tell us a little bit about it, because you're dialed in there. You were the president of the Blues United San Diego? Or?
I was the treasurer.
So
Yeah.
there's some rogue information out there about you being
Not the president.
Yeah.
I was the treasurer while Michael Kinsman was the president.
the host of
that was being the treasurer was
Every
hard
Shade of
enough. Yeah.
And so, what do you think about the San Diego blues scene? Do you play here in town a lot, or tell us
I
a
do,
little
and
bit
we
about
move
that?
around a little bit, and so we do a little bit here in town. It seems we're always in the car, and so I always have to drive at least an hour. So we're really popular in Temecula and Orange County. We go to LA a bit. Sometimes Palm Springs, Mexico. You call me, I'm coming. That's it.
So not as much here in
San Diego. Well, San Diego's got a lot of musicians, and
right.
not just a lot of musicians, but a lot of really good musicians.
Right.
And so I'm not the first to have somehow made it to Memphis. I mean, there's a long legacy, in front of me. Nathan James, when Ben Hernandez was here, did it. Candy Kane, getting some Blues Music Award nominations. Sue Palmer, winning the IBC Best Self-Produced. Sugar Ray Rayford, and Aunt Kizzy's Boys. And so there's a lot of competition.
There's a lot that's
Yeah,
been
so
going
we
on.
have to move out.
So then let's talk a little bit about the future then. So you're going to Memphis
going
in
to Memphis.
May
Yes.
to accept that award.
Yeah.
We can surely hope.
Oh, yeah.
And then what have you got going on in
And
the
then
next year
after
and
that,
future?
we're going on tour June, July, and August. And so exactly what we wanted to do. And so between our last CD and this one, we knew that that's where we were. I left my full-time job to concentrate on music because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to travel and do our music. But we knew we needed original material, so here we are. So in June, we're going to Arizona and New Mexico for a little short trip. Then we'll come back and we'll go again to Texas. We've got invited to Tall City Blues Fest. And then in August we'll do Texas again, but going further east into Mississippi and Louisiana. So
Right
we're
on,
excited.
into the heart of the blues.
Yes, and so we're just working on that little scooter's going. Shoot.
That's great. And then for your music, do you have a particular vision of something that you haven't gotten to yet that you're trying to, or do you just see that as kind of evolving along the way?
Kind of evolving. I would call it rhythm and blues. And, back when they coined that, before it was R&B, when it was rhythm and blues, it was really, really broad. And I kind of like being in that place because, there's so many places to go and to still be within that genre. And so I don't know that I would want to, narrow it down to just traditional blues or Chicago blues or jump blues or anything like that. I'm pretty happy in the rhythm and blues. Like, yeah, let's do that now.
Excellent. Well, where can folks find out more about you and your music?
They can go to MissyAndersen.com, and that's Missy Andersen with an E, S. Andersen, or Missy Andersen Music on Facebook.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much
Are you kidding?
for
Thank
being
you.
here at Jazz Live San Diego, and best of luck with everything you've got going on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Ding.